that you're here. My name is Alise.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, my name is Alise Curran. I am so excited to be here for another part of an author interview series. I'm the author of Nana Will Say Yes, and my Instagram is at Alise Curran Writes. Today, I'm excited because I have Katherine Picarde here to talk about her two books and her process of being an author and what that looks like. So excited. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a first grade teacher. It's my ninth year teaching first grade. And I published my first children's book back in 2020, right during the pandemic. And my second children's book was just released this past September in 2022. So it's been a busy time, but it's been very exciting.
That's
So yeah, mostly just working on promoting events for that. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So how did you decide you wanted to write a book? I know you mentioned it happened during the pandemic. I think a lot of people started taking on projects at that time.
Yeah.
How did that come about for you?
So I'm surrounded by children's books every day. So I did have the idea a few years before that I wanted to write a children's book, but I just had no idea on how to get started. So it was the summer of 2018 when I had some downtime, and then I sort of just woke up one day and started writing down ideas for a story in my phone, and then it kind of hit me that it could actually become a book. So I started researching how to write a manuscript, and it sort of stemmed from there. But I started writing in 2018, and it took about 2 years for it to get published, between the submission process, the ups and downs of the whole submission world, and then landing a contract. Took about 2 years to have the book in hand.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's so exciting. And yes, the submission process is wild, but when it turns into a real book, it's fantastic. So that's great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you said the idea kind of came to you, are any of the characters in your books, so you have the Little Ouch and you have Twin Time. And
Yes.
are any of the characters in your books based on people in your life?
They are. So the Little Ouch has a main character. Her name is Penelope, and Penelope is based on me because I grew up terrified of getting shots, needles, IVs, getting blood taken. Anything like that was terrifying for me.
Mhm.
So from childhood to literally into my 20s. So that is one of the reasons why I created the Little Ouch, because I wanted it to be meaningful for other kids who I knew, even some of my first graders who have such a strong fear of going to the doctor, getting shot. So I thought it could be a meaningful book that kids could use. And then Nurse Lauren is also in the Little Ouch, and that's based off my sister Lauren, who's a nurse practitioner.
Oh, how
And
nice.
then yeah, and then in Twin Time, my whole family's in it. So Twin Time I wrote for a few reasons. One is because I wanted to highlight, the special bond between my twin brother Christopher and I. So we're both in the book. My older siblings, Lauren and Nick, are in the book, and my mom and dad are also in the book. So similar to the Little Ouch, I wanted it to be meaningful, because for the Little Ouch, there really weren't many books that kind of catered to that fear of overcoming your fear of getting shots.
Mhm.
I saw that there really weren't many on the shelves. And same thing with twins. That year I had, I think, 3 sets of twins, or 2 sets of twins and a set of triplets in my class.
Wow.
And I didn't have any books that had twin characters.
Mhm.
So that was another reason why I wrote Twin Time. But I gave my illustrator pictures of us when we were little, so she could kind of recreate that and represent my whole family in Twin Time.
That's fantastic. So I'm also a twin, so I relate and I appreciate that you made this book because my sister and I do know how special the bond is. And
Right.
I don't know that I ever saw books about twins when I was growing up. So it's fantastic now that, especially when you know little kids, to be like, oh, look, here's something that you can relate to too. So just
Exactly.
curious from the twin perspective, what your favorite part of being a twin is.
So it's funny. Chris and I share a very similar sense of humor.
Mhm.
So he's one of the funniest people I know. He's always making me laugh. We're very close, and I feel like when you're younger, there's so much sibling rivalry. Like I'm sure I was his twin sister that was cramping his style a lot of the times when we were younger, but now we're all just so much closer. So one of my favorite things about being a twin is probably just having each other. Like if my sister is traveling with her husband, or my brother, his wife, and the kids are,
Mhm.
they lived in New York for a while, I always have Chris. We kind of always have each other for holidays and family events and dinners and things like that. So like I said in the book, it really is like having your built-in best
Best
friend.
friend, yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's exciting. And you
Thank you.
also mentioned you shared pictures with your illustrator of what you'd like it to look like, which is awesome. I love that idea. I actually did that with my book also. It's my mom and my
Oh,
daughter.
really?
Yeah, and there, so it's really, it makes it more meaningful, especially when you're going through the
Right.
process and like really putting your heart and soul into a book. It's like, oh, look what's really here for, it means so much. But I was wondering what type of input you had in both of your books, in the creative direction with the illustrator. Like I know you said you had a contract. What was that process
Mhm.
like for you working with the illustrator?
So that is one of the reasons I chose to sign with a hybrid company. A hybrid company is a mix between traditional publishing and self-publishing. And when I originally started this whole journey, I was very gung-ho on only landing a traditional contract,
Mhm.
because I didn't want to have to put up my own investment and, for multiple reasons. But with traditional, you really don't have much of a say in
Mhm.
the creative process. So with my hybrid company, it did allow me to have basically full control over the illustrations and the text. And of course, I worked with my editor for the text and the design and everything. But in terms of working with my illustrator, I had, complete say in what was put in the book. So my illustrator lives all the way in Kazakhstan, so I've never met her. So we only communicate at like 5 in the morning because of the time difference.
Right.
And we only communicate through email too. So she basically translates my email. So it's challenging for sure because she has to translate my whole manuscript and my illustration notes. So some things definitely get confusing or lost in translation. So that's a bit of a challenge, but we do go back and forth, and she's luckily very flexible. Sorry, it's getting dark in here. My lights are
That's
censored.
okay.
Um, but she's very flexible and patient with me because I can be a little picky about certain things. But when you're putting like all this time and money and into accomplishing this, you want it to be perfect. So she's amazing. She's super talented. And I'm very, very grateful that I was able to have her for both of my children's books.
That's awesome. And when you say you communicate online, how did you connect in the first place? Was it through the hybrid publisher or a different
No, so they did have publishers in-house. I'm sorry, they did have illustrators in-house, but I again, I think I just had a certain vision of the type of art I was looking for.
way?
So I went on this website called 99 Designs, and
Oh,
I found her portfolio, and I pitched her the project. I told her my budget, and she worked with me again, really flexible. Um, so that's how I originally found her. And then as we were working together, especially on the second book, I was particular about certain things, but I did also want her to feel like she had complete control too, and she can just kind of like be free, be herself as an artist,
mhm.
and really visualize it herself. So that was definitely my favorite part of both books, is seeing it come to fruition. It's the coolest thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you your favorite part. That is the best when it really comes full circle and you're like, wow, look at all this hard work that I've put into this, and here
Right.
it is. And it's so nice. Feel like when you're working on your second book, I'm working on my second book now, and when you're doing
Oh,
that,
congratulations.
thank you, working with the same illustrator, it's a different feel. Like you kind of trust them a bit
Yeah.
more. You know how each other communicates. You're able to kind of have conversations that might have been difficult the first time that have kind of evened out over time, and you do
Yeah.
get a little bit more of a flow, which is really awesome. So you said that was your
Yeah.
favorite part of doing this. What has been like, have there been any pain points or anything that, bumps in the road, anything like that along the way?
There were A few. I feel like at the beginning, I just had no idea what I was doing. I didn't realize how competitive it was and how hard it was.
Mm-hmm.
So you submit to all these publishing companies and you think like, oh, everyone's gonna love it, but then you get all these rejections and it's
Yeah.
like such a blow.
Yeah.
So it is such a learning experience. You have to just kind of teach yourself. Like I finally realized that I had to adopt a different mindset. And I was like, okay, I need to go into this knowing now that it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Publishers have very specific submission guidelines, and some of them are looking for very specific topics and writing styles. So it's okay to get rejections. It just means that it wasn't meant to be with them.
Mhm.
And then just knowing in my gut that like it would come to fruition. But
Mhm.
um so that was definitely challenging at the beginning, but then once I
Right.
adopted that sort of positive mindset, it got better.
Mhm.
There were a few times when there was some miscommunication, some issues where my book went completely out of stock everywhere.
I know.
Which is good for a sales standpoint, but
Right.
not when you're trying to promote it and then it's like all of a sudden out of stock and it was completely out of my control.
Right.
Um, that was a challenging thing too. But other than that, I think I am kind of it's like running your own business. So like
Absolutely.
I'm the one talking to bookstores, libraries, making all these promotional tools and setting up these story times and book launch events and
Right.
talking to podcasts and all these different outlets, media outlets, news outlets, trying to network as much as you can. So I feel like I do have control over those things, which allows it to go smoothly because I am a little type A. Um, but yeah, so I feel like that sort of eliminates some of the potential issues that could come up.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I see, you mentioned promoting your book. I see on your social media that you're in a ton of independent bookstores. Can you tell me about that process a little bit? Like I know you, like you said,
Yeah.
it's all you doing that. How do you approach bookstores? Like, have you found any like tips or tricks when you're talking to them to get your books on the shelves there?
Yeah, so that's definitely like a big part. It's like a part-time job, really. And at first, again, that was a little bit of a challenge because I didn't know anything about business or sales or marketing or anything. So it's all just teaching yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's intimidating at first to try to call these bookstores and sell yourself, pitch this book to all these different independent bookstores as an independent author. Um, because for traditional publishing companies, they do take that on, which is great to have that off your shoulders. But
Mhm.
when you're working with a smaller publishing company, it does fall on you to
Right.
do that. So my publishing company created a press kit for me, and it's basically like a sell sheet. It's 1 to 4 pages, and it highlights different parts of my books, awards that it's won, its ranking on Amazon, gives
Okay.
the back cover blurb, author bio, all that. And it's basically a package that I send out to all the bookstores. So I'll call them, pitch my product, let them know a little bit about me, a little bit about the book. And I ask them, can I send you my press kit, my press package via email? You can check it out and then let me know if you're interested in carrying this on your shelves. One thing I have found is that you need to follow up with them because bookstores have so much going on.
Mhm.
So I typically reach out and then I follow up a few weeks to a month later just to give them some time. And they do always ask if it's available on Ingram. So if
Right.
you are a self-published author, it's a good thing to maybe think about having your book uploaded to Ingram Spark. So it's just an easier route for distribution.
Absolutely. That's a really good point. And
Yeah.
it's interesting that you, not interesting, but it is that you call first, because I think a lot of people, when they think about getting their books into stores, they think about like walking in and talking to someone. And I think that
Mhm.
overwhelms people sometimes, but it's nice like to be
Yeah.
like, okay, here's the plan. Call first, send your press package, follow up. So I think that would be like a good tip for anyone who's kind of doing that also. Do you have any
Definitely.
other advice for people who are starting into this field? I know you said adopting a positive mindset or a different mindset would be one thing,
Yeah.
and really teaching
I
yourself would be another.
yeah. Um I think just having like again the positive mindset, but just knowing that it's going to happen. Like you just have to kind of know it into being, like it
Yeah.
will happen. If this is something that you really want, you just have to stick to it and just have the confidence that your writing is good enough. It's meant to be published, no matter what the route is. You could self-publish it. You could publish it through Amazon KDP.
Mhm.
You can talk to, other authors and see how they self-published. You can talk to hybrid companies, pitch to traditional. There's all different routes you can take, but you just have to not give up, just stick to it. Know that there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be highs and lows and rejections and people that don't believe in your work or think it's crazy that you're writing a book. But one thing my first publishing company told me is that you have to just ignore the naysayers, and that stuck with me because when I first wrote The Little Ouch, someone said to me, "There's no need for this book." And then the pandemic hit, and there was such a need for the book,
Of course.
a book about vaccines. So
Yeah.
you just have to stick to your gut because nobody knows what's going to happen next. Like when I
Right.
wrote The Little Ouch, my goal was just to accomplish the goal of writing a children's book. I
Mhm.
wasn't thinking big. I wasn't thinking it was going to be as successful as it was. And I'm so lucky for that.
Mhm.
And I'm lucky for the timing of during the pandemic and all of that. But yeah, you just have to stick to your gut and just know that one way or another, it's going to happen. And there's
Right.
so many resources for authors. So there's a few Facebook groups out there. I always tell aspiring authors just to do some research, join those Facebook groups, and it's such like a supportive community of writers who are asking all these questions about print on demand, distribution, publishing companies, manuscripts, query letters, and it's
Right.
just so helpful.
Right. Great. Fantastic. Yeah, I found the Facebook groups and the Instagram community to be unbelievably
Yes.
helpful. People, you'd be very
Mhm.
surprised how many people are just willing to help you out because they've been there and they know
Oh,
what
yeah.
it's like. So that's really great advice
Yeah.
for someone who's starting that. Um,
Yeah.
Speaking of your books, where can people get them? Where can people buy them? Where should they
Huh.
search? What should they do?
Yeah, so both of my books are available through my website, which is right now it's thelittleouch.com. So there's a list of bookstores sort of around the country that people can pick up their book from. I always encourage to support those small businesses. And it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, and then Orange Hat Publishing website is my publishing company.
Mhm.
So it's available through all of those routes, and the link is also in my bio on my Instagram.
Perfect. And what is your Instagram? Where can people find you?
It is author_Katherine Picarde.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to what you have in store next. And we will keep following up with each other. So thanks so much for joining today.
Thank you so much, Alice. I'll chat soon.